Hi, this is Elizabeth at craftsbyhappystamper.com. I'm going to show you how to make this card today. I did this pretty stained glass technique, and it's easy to make it look like you're blending from darkers to lights with this technique on the back of vellum. I'm submitting this for the Simply Stamp It Spring Flowers Challenge. That's a Facebook group, and anybody's welcome to join. So I'm going to be using that brushed silver cardstock that I showed you. That's retiring in just a week, actually, on June 2nd. So if you want to order that, you better hurry up and order it. But first I'm going to heat emboss this pretty flower, which is from a new stamp set that comes out on June 2nd called You've Got This. So you see me just inking up the stamp set and stamping it on vellum. And I actually did not decide how I was going to make this card before I made it. So you'll see me checking things out as I go and second guessing. And that's why the vellum isn't cut to the exact size I needed already. I thought I was going to do a banner at first, but then, like with pointed edges, but then I decided I didn't want to do that because it would cover up any sentiment I put on the front. So I'm just using Stampin' Up's Whisper White embossing powder there, and I just put it in a random little Tupperware container. I heat embossed it off camera, but now you flip the vellum over and color on the back side. So because you flip the vellum over, you don't have to worry about coloring inside the lines or being really specific at all. You just put color down on the paper and try to stay on the outside, within the outside lines, but the petal lines don't matter because they are heat embossed on the front side, so you'll always see it. So I use quite a combination of colors here. My darkest color is rose red. My darkest color I use is rose red, and that's what you see me doing there. And now I'm using Melon Mambo, and I'm just going over the edge of the rose red and extending it a little bit out so that there's just a little bit more, it gets lighter towards the edges of when I do it. And then I used Blushing Bride, and I go just a little bit further with that. You could see I'm not being careful at all. I'm just swishing it around. You don't have to worry about touching the other inks. It's not going to ruin your markers. If you think that some of the darker ink gets on the lighter colors, then you can just scribble it off on a piece of scrap cardstock and it will finish it. So that's Pink Pirouette that I used on the centers there, and that's the lightest color I used for the flower. So I actually used a total of 4 colors for the flower, but you don't have to be that precise if you don't want to be. So for the darkest color on the leaves and the stem, I used Always Artichoke, and then my lightest color is Wild Wasabi. But the stem area is so small, even though I use 2 colors, you can't really tell once you flip it over, but I thought you might be able to tell, so I tried it. But you can't really tell that I used 2 colors in the stem. On the leaves, though, they're big enough that you can tell that I used 2 different colors. But that's all I used was Always Artichoke and Wild Wasabi, and they blend beautifully. So since you can't put, I'm going to use some Pink Pirouette cardstock, and I'm using the Scalloped Edge Border Punch, which is also retiring on June 2nd, so you better hurry up and get that if you want it. And I'm just punching an edge to adhere to the top of my vellum piece because I want a decorative edge in order to attach the vellum piece to my cardstock. I could have put a little bit of glue just behind the flower and it probably would have been hidden by itself, but I thought that this might give it a little bit more of a regal look to it. So I'm just going to add some snail adhesive. Actually, right there I realized I had embossing powder all over my workspace and it was getting all over everything. So I learned that if you use one of those dust cloths, I forget what they're called, but little disposable dust cloths, that it really picks up everything, all the embossing powders. So that's really easy to work with. So I just adhered some Pink Pirouette cardstock to the top of my vellum, and now I'm using some silver satin ribbon. And this is not retiring. You can still get it in the new catalog. And I'm using glue dots to adhere that to the top. It's really a luxurious feel to this satin ribbon. If you haven't used any of the Stampin' Up ribbons, this is really a very high quality satin ribbon. So I adhered that to the top, and I'm still kind of like trying to figure out what do I want to do with this. And I decided that I thought it looked a little odd just randomly placed up there at the top. So first I'm going to cut off the excess that's above the ribbon so that there's just a tiny pink line above the ribbon. And I'm sorry, it's a little off camera, but and then I decided to cut down the flower to right below the where the stem ends. And I don't know what happened to the camera, but I rounded those corners at some point and I lost that part of the film. But so now I'm trying to figure out, how do I want to do this? Do I just want to adhere it in the center there or what? And I decided that I wanted to do a, just a strip of pink pirouette at the top to sort of tie it all in together across the whole top, so you could see me there testing it out, how I think it might look. And I just cut a 1-inch border strip, and it's 4¼ inch long because this is just a traditional card base. And glue, use snail to adhere that to the top. And now I'm going to heat emboss the sentiment. And the sentiment is also from the You've Got This stamp set, which actually is a wonderful stamp set. And it says, I'm here for you. The other greetings on this stamp set say, you've got this and good things are going to happen. And um, I'll, I actually didn't do it on this video, but I'm going to put good things are going to happen on the inside and send it to a friend of mine who's having a hard time. But you could see that I use my embossing buddy to prevent the static on the cardstock, and then I'm adding my Whisper White embossing powder again and tapping off the excess. And then I heat embossed it off camera. I used a little cheap, you know, paintbrush actually there to wipe off the excess embossing powder. And now I'm using Stampin' Dimensionals to adhere it. And I tried to adhere it so that just the scallop edge of the pink pirouette is below the 1-inch border up the top. So you could see me trying to get that to work, and I'm trying to squish my ribbon down so that I still have that even little pink edge at the top, but I'm struggling with that there, as you can see. So that's basically it. You could see that it's shiny and silvery, and you get some nice dimension on the flower. But at this point I decided that I thought it needed a little bit more, so I'm adding some pearls, and I decided to add 3 pearls, and I'm just trying to figure out where I want them there. And I did. That's it. So this is the final card. I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't already liked this or subscribed to my channel, I would appreciate it if you did. And if you'd like to join this challenge or one of the other challenges or small group swaps in the Simply Stamp It group, just do a search on Facebook and ask to join. Thanks. Bye.